My wife gasped. "What? You contacted my birth parents?" After I mentioned it, I said, "They contacted me. When they revealed they'd been searching for her to give her the inheritance she never knew about, the anger turned into, I, 34 male, need to get this off my chest because I'm still processing what just went down." My wife Madison, 32, and I have been married for 8 years. Throughout our relationship, she's always told me the same heartbreaking story about her birth parents. They were drug addicts who abandoned her at a fire station when she was 3 months old. She'd get emotional talking about it, saying she had no interest in ever finding them because they threw her away like garbage. I always supported her, never pushed the topic. Her adoptive parents, Harold and Joyce, are decent people who gave her a good life. Not wealthy, but comfortable middle-class folks who loved her. Madison went to state college on loans, which I helped pay off after we married, and we built a nice life together. I work in IT, she's a dental hygienist. Nothing fancy, but we're doing okay. Last Tuesday, I'm working from home when my phone rings. Unknown number, but local area code. "Hello? Hi, is this Thomas Morrison?" Older woman's voice, nervous. "Yes, my name is Eleanor Whitfield. This is gonna sound strange, but I believe you're married to my daughter." My stomach dropped. "I'm sorry, what?" "Madison? Your wife Madison. Her birth name was Madison Eleanor Whitfield. We've been searching for her for years." I almost hung up thinking it was a scam, but something in her voice made me listen. "Madison was adopted. Her birth parents abandoned her as a baby," I said carefully. Long pause. Then Eleanor started crying. "Is that what she told you? Oh God, we never abandoned her. She was kidnapped." The room started spinning. Eleanor explained that Madison was taken from their backyard when she was 6 months old. They'd been at a family barbecue. Madison was napping in her stroller on the patio. Eleanor went inside for 5 minutes to get drinks. When she came back, Madison was gone. They searched for years. Police, private investigators, the works. The case went cold. They never gave up hope, but had no leads. Then 2 months ago, Eleanor saw a photo on a mutual acquaintance's social media, a wedding photo from years back. It was Madison. Same birthmark on her neck, same unusual amber eyes. They hired a PI to confirm, then spent weeks debating whether to reach out. "We didn't want to disrupt her life," Eleanor said, "but we had to try. We've been looking for our baby for 32 years. I was shaking. Asked for proof. She emailed me police reports, newspaper clippings, photos of baby Madison that looked exactly like our wedding photos. DNA test results from hair they'd somehow obtained. Didn't ask how. It was real. "Why call me and not her?" I asked. "We found her workplace first. But when we saw she was married, we thought maybe it would be better to go through you. We don't want to ambush her." We talked for an hour. Eleanor and her husband Robert weren't drug addicts. They're both retired professors. They'd had 2 more children after Madison disappeared, but never stopped looking for their firstborn. And here's the kicker. Robert's father passed away 5 years ago, leaving a substantial inheritance in trust for all his grandchildren, including Madison. We're talking high 6 figures. I told Eleanor I needed time to process and would call her back. Spent the rest of the day in shock. When Madison came home, I tried to act normal, but she could tell something was up. "Rough day?" she asked. "Yeah, just a weird client call," I lied. That night I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about how to bring this up. Madison had built her entire identity around being abandoned. She'd written college essays about it, told everyone that story. What if she truly didn't know? Finally, 3 days later, I couldn't hold it anymore. We were having dinner, and I just said it. "Maddie, I need to tell you something. Your birth parents contacted me." She dropped her fork. Face went white. "What did you just say?" "Your birth parents, Eleanor and Robert Whitfield, they reached out." "What? You contacted my birth parents?" She jumped up, knocking her chair back. "No," I said, "they contacted me. They've been looking for you." "How dare you?" She was screaming now. "I told you I never wanted anything to do with them." "Madison, listen. They say you weren't abandoned. You were kidnapped. They have police reports. I don't care what lies they're spinning. You had no right. I didn't contact them. They found you through social media and called me. And there's more. There's an inheritance." The moment I said inheritance, her face changed. The anger flickered, replaced by something else. "What inheritance?" Your grandfather left money for all his grandchildren, including you. How much? The fact that this was her immediate question made my stomach turn. That's what you care about? Not that you might have been kidnapped? That your whole history might be a lie? Don't deflect, Thomas. How much money? Several $100,000. She sat back down slowly. The anger was still there, but mixed with calculation now. And they just want to give it to me? They want to meet you. They've been searching for 32 years. Convenient they show up now with money, she snapped. The inheritance has been in trust for 5 years. They didn't even mention it until I asked about their lives. Madison went quiet. Then, I need to think about this. Don't contact them again without talking to me first. Of course. She didn't speak to me the rest of the night. The next morning she was different. Sweet. Apologetic. I'm sorry I reacted that way. It was just such a shock. Maybe we should meet them. Just to get closure. I should have trusted my gut, because what happened next revealed exactly who I married. Update 1. Well, the mask came off completely. I'm writing this from my buddy Derek's guest room because I can't even look at my house right now. After Madison's sudden change of heart about meeting her birth parents, I arranged a video call. Eleanor and Robert were so nervous. They cried when they saw Madison. She was performing. That's the only way I can describe it. Tears at the right moments, gasps of shock at their story, but something felt off. They showed her photos, documents, everything. Explained how Harold and Joyce, her adoptive parents, had moved to our state just months after Madison disappeared. How they'd supposedly adopted her through a private arrangement that now seemed suspicious AF. Madison played the victim perfectly. I can't believe my whole life is a lie. Oscar-worthy performance. The Whitfields were so happy. They wanted to meet in person immediately. Madison suggested waiting a few weeks to process everything emotionally. They understood. Before hanging up, Robert mentioned the inheritance again, said they'd already started paperwork to release it to her. That night, Madison was giddy. Not emotional about finding her real parents, giddy about the money. She started talking about house renovations, a new car, vacations. I finally asked the question burning in my mind. Maddie, did you know? Know what? Too quick. Too defensive. Did you know you were kidnapped? Of course not. How could I know that? But something made me push. Your adoptive parents never said anything? No weird stories about how they got you? She got angry. Stop interrogating me. I'm the victim here. I dropped it, but I couldn't shake the feeling. So I did something I'd never done in 8 years of marriage. I snooped. Waited until she was at work and went through her things. Found a box in the back of her closet I'd never seen. Inside were old documents, including a letter from Joyce to Madison dated on her 18th birthday. The letter was damning. Joyce confessed everything, how she'd been desperate for a baby after multiple miscarriages, how Harold's cousin ran an illegal adoption ring, how they'd paid $50 for a baby whose parents didn't want her, how they'd moved states immediately after, how they'd realized too late that Madison might have been stolen but were too scared to come forward. Madison had known. For 14 years she'd known. There was more. Bank statements showing Madison had been sending money to Harold and Joyce monthly, emails between them discussing keeping the secret, references to Joyce being sick and needing expensive treatments. I confronted Madison that night, showed her what I found. You've known since you were 18. You've been lying to me our entire relationship. She tried denying it, then switched to justifying it. They raised me. They're my real parents. I owed them. You owed them for kidnapping you? They didn't know. The letter says they suspected, and you've been paying them to stay quiet. Then came the most chilling part. Madison smiled. Actually smiled. Well, now I'll have enough money to take care of them properly. It's perfect timing, really. Joyce needs surgery. Are you serious right now? You're going to take money from the parents you were stolen from to pay the people who bought you? They raised me, Thomas. I don't owe those strangers anything just because they couldn't watch their baby properly. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Couldn't watch. Madison, you were kidnapped. And whose fault was that? They left me alone outside. That's when it hit me. She wasn't just lying about knowing. She blamed Eleanor and Robert for their own tragedy. She felt entitled to their money as compensation for their negligence. I told her I couldn't be part of this deception, that she needed to tell the Whitfields the truth. Madison laughed. Why would I do that? They're offering me hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'd be stupid to turn that down. Because it's fraud. Because it's wrong. Wrong? They're the ones who failed to protect me. This money is the least they can do. I gave her an ultimatum. Tell them the truth, or I would. She went ballistic, screaming about betrayal, how I was ruining her life, how I didn't understand loyalty. When I didn't back down, she got scary calm. You won't say anything, Thomas, because if you do, I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of man you really are. What's that supposed to mean? I'm creative. I'm sure I can think of something. That night I packed a bag and left, stayed at Derek's place, told him everything. He's a lawyer and his first words were, document everything and get a divorce attorney now. But Madison wasn't done. Oh no, she was just getting started. Update 2. The entitlement escalated beyond anything I imagined. Madison turned into someone I didn't recognize, or maybe I was finally seeing who she'd always been. First, she love-bombed me. Texts begging me to come home, saying she'd had time to think and I was right. She'd tell her birth parents everything. We could work through this. When I didn't respond, the messages got nastier. Madison, you're really gonna throw away 8 years over this? I did what I had to do to survive. Madison, those people are strangers to me. You have no idea what I've been through. Answer me. If you tell them, I'll ruin you. 93 messages in 2 days. Derek told me to keep everything for the divorce. Then she tried a different approach. Called my mom. Spun some story about me having a mental breakdown, abandoning her, acting erratic. My mom called me worried. I had to explain everything. Mom was horrified, especially since she'd always felt something was off about Madison's adoption story. But the real escalation came when I got a call from Eleanor. Madison had reached out to them directly, said she wanted to meet in person ASAP, claimed I was having issues and she didn't want my paranoia to delay their reunion. They were thrilled but confused about her comment about me. I knew what she was doing, trying to get the money before I could tell them the truth. But I was torn. These people had suffered for 32 years. Was it my place to destroy their joy? Derek advised me to stay out of it legally. But morally, I couldn't let her defraud grieving parents. I called Eleanor back. There's something you need to know. Madison has known she was kidnapped since she was 18. I have proof. Silence. Then Eleanor said quietly, please explain. I told her everything. The letter from Joyce, the payments, Madison's reaction. Offered to send the evidence. Eleanor was crying by the end. We just wanted our baby back, she whispered. I'm so sorry. I only found out last week. I thought she didn't know. Eleanor said they needed time to process. I understood. Madison must have sensed something because the next day, everything exploded. I got a call from my boss. Someone had sent an anonymous email to HR claiming I'd been stealing company equipment and selling it. Attached were fake screenshots of messages between me and some buyer. Amateur Photoshop job, but enough to trigger an investigation. Then my landlord at Derek's building called. Someone reported that I was subletting Derek's apartment illegally and running a business out of it. Complete BS. My social media blew up with friend requests from fake accounts sending me threats. Someone posted on neighborhood watch pages that I was a dangerous individual who'd abandoned my sick wife. But Madison made a crucial mistake. In her frenzy to discredit me, she forgot I still had access to our shared cloud storage, where she'd been backing up her phone, including her messages to her friend Kayla bragging about her plan. Madison to Kayla, he actually believed I didn't know Mao. Girl, what if he tells them though? Already working on that. By the time I'm done, no one will believe anything he says. Savage, get that money. I deserve it. After what they put me through. Period. Neglectful parents, gotta pay. Exactly. And if Thomas keeps interfering, I've got more cards to play. Like what? Let's just say I've been documenting his anger issues for months. Screenshots of her creating fake text conversations, photos of her giving herself bruises. She'd been planning this for months, long before her parents contacted us. Insurance in case I ever crossed her. I immediately forwarded everything to Derek, who helped me file a police report for harassment and cyber stalking. Also sent it all to Eleanor and Robert with an apology for the drama. Their response broke my heart. They were devastated but grateful for my honesty. They'd already started the process of releasing the inheritance, but their lawyer said they could stop it based on fraud. Madison's next move? She showed up at my workplace with Harold and Joyce, made a huge scene in the lobby, crying about how I was trying to keep her from her dying mother. Joyce apparently needed surgery but wasn't dying. Security had to escort them out. My boss was understanding after I showed him the police report, but it was humiliating. That night I got a call from Harold. He tried to guilt trip me. Madison's our daughter. We raised her. We sacrificed everything. Joyce is sick. That money belongs with Madison's real family. You bought a stolen baby, I said. You're lucky you're not in prison. We didn't know, he protested. Your wife's letter says otherwise. And even if you didn't, you found out when Madison did. You've been covering it up for 14 years. That's not. We love her. We're her parents. Then why have you been taking money to keep quiet? Real parents don't extort their children. He hung up on me. The next day, the Whitfields made their decision. They were pressing charges against Harold and Joyce for kidnapping and wouldn't be releasing any inheritance to Madison unless court ordered. They also thanked me for my honesty and said they understood if I needed to distance myself from the situation. When Madison found out, she went nuclear. Final update. The extinction burst, Derek's term, not mine, was something to behold. When Madison learned the inheritance was off the table and her adoptive parents were facing charges, she lost any semblance of sanity. First, she tried to break into Derek's apartment at 3 a.m. We'd installed cameras after her previous stunts, so we had beautiful footage of her trying to pick the lock while drunk screaming about what's rightfully hers. Cops arrested her for attempted B&E and public intoxication. While she was in holding, I filed for divorce and got an emergency protective order. Derek's brother is also a lawyer, family of lawyers, lucky me, and he fast-tracked everything. Madison bailed out and immediately went on the offensive. She actually held a press conference on Instagram Live, claiming she was the victim of a conspiracy between me and her birth parents to steal her inheritance. The video was unhinged. She accused me of abuse, theft, gaslighting, and somehow also being in cahoots with Harold and Joyce to double-cross her. The mental gymnastics were Olympic level. But here's where her entitlement really shined. She started a GoFundMe. Help Madison fight for her stolen inheritance. Her story? Evil ex-husband manipulated elderly birth parents into withholding money that was rightfully hers as compensation for childhood trauma. Goal: 500 Kelly. She raised $127 before GoFundMe shut it down for fraud. The divorce proceedings were swift because Madison couldn't help herself. She submitted fake evidence of my abuse, the same photos she'd sent to Kayla. Problem? The metadata showed they were taken on dates when I was provably out of town for work. Her lawyer dropped her after that. She represented herself at the next hearing. Showed up in designer clothes that she'd maxed out our credit cards to buy, I later learned, and demanded alimony because she'd sacrificed her career potential to support our household. The judge asked for evidence of this sacrifice. Madison cited emotional labor and maintaining our social presence. The judge was not impressed, especially after seeing evidence of her fraud attempts, harassment, and the fact that she'd been the higher earner for 3 years. Divorce was finalized in record time. Clean split, no alimony. She got her personal belongings and half the savings, which wasn't much after her shopping spree. I had to eat the credit card debt, but it was worth it to be done. Meanwhile, the criminal case against Harold and Joyce moved forward. They tried to blame everything on recently deceased cousin who'd arranged the adoption. But Eleanor and Robert's lawyer had done their homework. Paper trail led back to Harold. They pled to lesser charges, got probation and hefty fines. Madison tried to visit them in court to support them, but was banned after causing a disturbance, screaming about how everyone was betraying the only real family she'd ever known. Last I heard through the grapevine, Madison moved in with Kayla, who kicked her out after 2 weeks when Madison tried to sue her for emotional damages because Kayla wouldn't lend her money. She got fired from her dental hygienist job after showing up drunk and ranting to patients about her stolen fortune. She started dating some crypto bro who dumped her when he realized she was broke. She's now living with Harold and Joyce, working at a call center, still posting daily about the injustice she suffered. She tried to sue Eleanor and Robert for intentional infliction of emotional distress, but no lawyer would take the case. The Whitfield sent me a thank you card last month. They're in therapy to process everything, but are grateful for the truth. They donated Madison's inheritance to the National Center for Missing Children in her name, which she found out about and threatened to sue over. That went nowhere. As for me, the divorce was final 2 months ago. I'm still at Derek's but looking for my own place. Dating isn't even on my radar yet. Need therapy to process how I miss so many red flags. I'm free. But I'm free from the lies, manipulation, and exhausting entitlement. Sometimes the best revenge isn't elaborate. It's just stepping back and letting someone face the natural consequences of their choices. Madison wanted that inheritance so badly she destroyed everything else to get it. Now she has nothing. No husband, no birth parents, no money, no reputation. Just the adoptive parents she'd been extorting and a lifetime of burned bridges. I don't feel satisfaction, just relief. And a hard-learned lesson about believing people when they tell you their sob stories. Sometimes the real victims are the ones not telling the story.